Hello, welcome to the Excel Micro Podcast, a short-form podcast where we are going to put one of our vendor partners in the hot seat and ask them some questions about their offerings and services. My name is Edward Roessner. I'm the Senior Solutions Engineer here at Excel Micro. With me is Ernest Martinelli, our Sales and Product Manager. Depending on how helpful and successful this is, we're going to keep doing these, so you got to let us know if you'd like to hear more from us. First vendor we've decided to put in the hot seat today is VIPRE. Specifically, we're going to be talking to them about one of their newer offerings regarding an endpoint extension called EDR, which is Enhanced Detection and Response, and its subsequent MDR, Managed Detection and Response. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Oliver Paterson. I'm the Director of Product Management here at VIPRE. I look after our solutions, from our email security solutions all the way through to our endpoint, our threat detection technologies. And it's great to be here, Ed. Thank you for asking me to join.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. I know it was a little bit of short notice, but that's the point of the hot seat. So thanks for doing this again, and now we're going to get on to the fun part. A lot of vendors like to throw fancy acronyms and names around at us. EDR, your Enhanced Detection and Response extension for your standard endpoint cloud. What really is it? What does it do?
Okay, it's a great question. Acronyms are thrown out there all the time. So EDR, so our endpoint detection response system, is the advancement in endpoint technology. So everyone will ask, what does that mean? Well, essentially, what EDR is that it is adding additional detection engines. Again, people say, okay, we can't see those, so are we telling the truth when we do those? But essentially what it does is it gives us a greater level of depth going into detection. So before, where you've got your next-gen AVs and machine learning technologies to do detections, it either quarantines and stops things or it allows them through. Whereas where endpoint detection and response is actually because there's additional engines and additional triggers, what we're able to do is kind of look for things that are out of the ordinary. And you'll hear in the marketplace that there are things called incidents. So that is when the determinations, those additional engines, has found something, and they'll categorize them low, medium, or high type incident, and then notify you that it maybe needs some additional looking from your IT team. So essentially, it is giving you a greater reach into those systems. And what VIPRE's also done with theirs is we've given the admins additional toolings with our EDR that helps the admin then make an even more informed decision. So they get full access to our sandboxing technology of links and files, as well as our remote browser capability to go and investigate URLs themselves in a safe environment.
Cool. Okay, so the MDR product that extends from that basically uses all that tooling and all that advanced analytics and reporting and things like that, and you're paying an external company to manage detection and response. You're paying someone to monitor all your infrastructure and private security firm in its entirety, and they're just using EDR to do all that.
Essentially, yeah. So EDR, which is the endpoint detection response. So on the endpoint, we're doing further detections and allowing you to respond. Whereas managed means that we have our dedicated security team, or you could see it as your dedicated SOC. So rather than you getting notifications of incidents that have happened in your environment from the EDR solution, those notifications go to our technology team. So one of the areas that we saw when we were looking at the marketplace is that MDR helps those organizations that maybe don't have a dedicated SOC or have a dedicated security team. One of the issues in the marketplace is there's not enough people trained in these areas. So our security team has over 200 different certifications on different areas of threat and remediation activities. So what we've seen is actually it's not the large enterprise organizations that maybe could afford those SOCs, but it's those small, mid-size businesses that probably need MDR the most. So what we've tried to do here at VIPRE is kind of look at where the need is most for these and then allow that technology to come down to those.
So a big problem I think a lot of people have with these extra features and these services that protect you and do so much with AI, and I'm using air quotes, and machine learning is there's nothing tangible about it. You want our partners to pay a lot extra for the warm and fuzzy feeling. What front-facing benefits do they get? What can the IT guy who gets looked at by his stakeholders as a necessary evil, as a cost without a gain, what can he show them? What can he present about VIPRE Endpoint Cloud's extended services to give them the reassurance that the money is being well spent and is worth it?
Great question, Ed. As you say, we keep coming out with new solutions, with new engines, new ways of protecting people, and a lot of the time that's kind of in the background. People don't actually get to see that tangible benefit from it. So what we do with these services is we provide a report. We give a report on a monthly basis to the admin, to the organization. They can pick who it goes to. And that will give them the information of the things that we've found as incidents, those specifically high threat incidents, how we've actioned those. So what remediation actions have we done? So it gives you that feeling of, okay, they are doing something. When things are happening in the background, it's not that I'm just not hearing about them. I'm actually seeing the benefits of these through those reports. So it's giving them that tangible element back that we're not just sitting there doing nothing. We are actually monitoring, investigating how quickly we're getting around to those. And one of the biggest advantages of these MDR services where you're using our SOC is that they run 24/7. So if you imagine an organization having to run their own SOC that is monitoring these incidents 24/7, that is a very costly activity. You probably need between 4 and 8 people to do it effectively. So people who are on shift, off shift, for the 3 8-hour shifts, and then some redundancy if people are off. And what we know is that smaller organizations aren't going to be able to afford that. And what we see from a lot of our databases and our information that we get is the time that people do these attacks is most likely the times that your security individuals in these smaller organizations aren't going to be there. So they're 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night on a Friday or very early morning on the Saturday. So they clocked off, you're looking forward to your weekend, and then inevitably that's when these bad actors are going to attack your organization. So having that MDR service gives you that full 24/7 coverage, so that even if the worst thing was to happen, there is an incident that it's not having to wait till maybe the following Monday to be actioned, it's actioned straight away.
That sounds great. The fact that there's interactions, there's reports that come from this external source, and it's not just trust us. I feel like a lot of security features out there, especially ones that go through so much automation, so much power through AI and these engines that you put all this money and info into, and you just hope it keeps running and doing what it's supposed to do. These large cybersecurity companies, they take this stance of trust us without ever showing the work. The idea that you've added value, the idea of added value is hard to buy into when all the value is behind the curtain. It seems like you guys are putting forward effort to coming out and disclosing the work that's being done and showing the work, and even reaching out and contacting the partner when something happens or their interactions required and needed. That the fact the MDR team is accessible is really nice, is really needed.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it also shows you the value in those additional engines. Because again, a lot of these engines, when you kind of have a look at our third-party reports, it's kind of total cost of ownership. And when we look at that, some of the biggest well-known competitors out there can be very noisy, which can create a large headache for teams. And that's why sometimes MDR solutions are really expensive as well. It's because they cost a lot of money, because the EDR provider that they're using is actually a very noisy provider. The way that we built our EDR solution is actually has the lowest total cost of ownership, and that gives us an advantage in a few areas. That allows us to, one, have a solution that's not as noisy. So if you were wanting to maintain and run it yourselves, it isn't going to cost you as much in man hours. But also it's made that our MDR service can be very competitively priced as well. So what we've decided is, again, looking at the market, understanding that it's that mid-sized business that is probably needing this the most. We've again made sure our solution is both going to give you all the protections that you'd expect from those very large named players in the market, but also at the most cost-effective price to allow those small and mid-sized businesses to be able to take advantage of EDR and MDR systems.
Nice. I do hear and see that a lot with these SIMs and SOC level solutions, where it's a connected monitoring program, but it literally just throws everything at you. And if you're a single IT guy or even a small team, having to comb through that to find the needle in a haystack that is an issue that you need to work on or identify or remediate, that's going to be a pain, and that's a lot of work. So it's nice that you guys have got that less noisy. And I've seen it in action. I can see that it's less noisy when I'm going through the test environments and I'm using it myself. I can see that it really does work at a normal human being's pace to be able to monitor and remediate and work with it. So plenty of people already have an endpoint, be it basic or advanced in whatever its features and what it does for you. Why should they go through the hassle of switching or even giving VIPRE Endpoint a try? Transferring from one security product to another is a pain, especially with endpoints.
A great question there, Ed. It's what we see as probably the most asked question to us as an organization. As you say, it can be very difficult to move provider. One of the things that we've done here at VIPRE is we've actually got two ways to help with this. We've got our deployments team, and we've also got what we call our cart tool. So our cart tool is actually going to help the deployment team, or if a partner or organization wants to do the transfer themselves or change over themselves. So the cart tool is actually something that's embedded within our agent that when you deploy it, it actually uses the uninstaller of the competitor that we have to go and uninstall their agent. And what that does is actually means that it's more successful rather than using the Windows uninstaller that we all know can fail or not be as efficient. And because we're using the actual uninstaller from the provider, it means that it's a lot cleaner process, makes it a lot smoother, a lot easier. So essentially, you're just deploying the agent down to those devices. And you can do that in a multitude of different ways, depending on how your organization's set. The other thing that we offer is also deployment services. So that's something that we provide here at VIPRE, and it's something that I've always kind of been a big advocate of, and probably isn't as well known as we should probably shout it from the rooftops a bit more. But we believe here it's in everyone's best interest that things get deployed properly. So you could see it as selfish on our part that we actually provide these deployment services and we don't charge for them. But if you are a client of ours and we can deploy the service properly when it first goes out, that actually means that you'll have less tickets with us. You'll have less issues going forward because it gets deployed properly the first time around. So in turn, that actually means we have to spend less time debugging or trying to see where you went wrong with that. So it actually is just as much as a benefit to us as to you to be able to provide those services. So we actually give you kind of a hold your hand as you go through it, and we've also built those tools to make it very easy for you to move. So we're probably one of the easiest actually to go in, remove the old provider, put ours in, and we have that team as well to help you through that entire process. As those installers do change from our competitors from time to time as well. So what we do as part of the deployment process is if there is a new one installer that we maybe don't have or haven't seen yet, we can get those added very quickly as well. So we can make sure that the exact product that you're currently using is going to be uninstalled properly as well. So we put a lot of time and effort into helping make that switch as hassle-free as possible for our clients and partners.
Yeah, I've seen that that uninstall file list built into Site Manager and Endpoint. It gets longer every day that I check it. I think when I started, it was like 30-something tabs, and now it's well over 50 because you just, as the uninstall files come out, you reverse engineer them, you just keep adding them in. All right, so it's shield time. Excel Micro is offering a promo right now for anyone who wants to jump on to EDR+MDR. If you sign up for EDR+MDR right now, between now and the end of March, so roughly 2 months, you're going to get the EDR+MDR package at 50% off for the entirety of 2025. Reach out to us if you want to see about any of the products and things we talked about today. If you want to see what we talked about, we can arrange demos. We can arrange Q&As. Not a problem. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add or say before we close out completely?
The only thing I'll say is we priced EDR+MDR very competitively in the first place. So this additional 50% off is realistically what Excel Micro doing here is kind of giving it away for the technology and the expertise that you'd get. So one of the concerns with these promos sometimes is that, okay, it's going to be ridiculous price afterwards. No, because we have done this and we have done it kind of properly for that mid-market. It isn't like we're asking you for hundreds of dollars per user per year, which a lot of MDR providers are. It is very competitively priced, and you are getting that enterprise grade technology. Everyone can go and have a look at, we've got a third-party review of our EDR solution via AV Comparatives, and you can actually see that we're actually in the top right. We're against some of those large players in the market. So just to validate that it isn't that we're just offering something very cheaply because we've done it cheaply. This is a very comprehensive solution that you would be getting here as well. But I'd like to thank Ed for inviting me. I'm very honored to be the first one to go through this and go through these questions. And hopefully I can get invited back in the future. But thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on. You guys have, like I said, a whole suite of products, so do expect to get dragged on again to talk about one of them. Hopefully everybody found this to be informative, and we can keep doing them. I kind of had a little bit of fun, so I don't mind doing more of these. And as our customer base or anybody who hears this, if you'd like to hear more of this, let me know. If you'd like to see a specific vendor or someone in the hot seat, tell me, and I can reach out and try and drag that person into the interrogation. Because like I said, plenty of products, so we're going to drag you on again and talk about one of them, and some of our other vendors in the future too. But other than that, safe hunting, everybody.